Hey, and welcome to Live. It's not 4 again. We're live at 8 tonight because I was thinking of my friends on the other side of the globe, and I didn't want to catch you in your church meetings or your lunchtime. I wanted to give you opportunity to have finished everything. Hey, Joan, how you doing? And give you a chance to be available. So here we go, and thanks for watching. And I am talking about influence today, the power of influence, 3 powerful ways to have more influence. And I always thought that, to have influence, you've got to have more authority. I love what one guy says, and I've got a car alarm going off here all day. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, the key to successful leadership today is influence, not authority. The key to a successful leadership today is influence, not authority. And that it works for you as a father, as a mother, as a business person. It doesn't matter what realm or what role you play. Influence today is more important than trying to exercise authority. And that's what I was saying. I thought the more authority I had, the more position I had, the more authority I'll have. And the more authority I have, the more influence I have. But that's not true. The fact of the matter is I learned very slowly over time how influence comes through 3 really powerful ways. And the first one is influence comes by modeling and being an example. You see, that is about who you are and how you are. Who you are and how you are. This is what others see. I think about Jesus, the greatest mentor and leader that ever walked on the face of the earth. And he would do things before he would expect others to do it. And so, he always had a good demeanor about doing it himself. So he would go ahead and he would show them what was the right way to speak to people, what was the right way to behave, what was the right way to have the right personality, not the personality, but the right characteristics to have in every situation. If you're impatient, you can't be teaching or mentoring or influencing others to be patient if you're impatient. If you're frustrated and angry and irritated, there's no way they're going to be contented and patient and peaceful and able to relate to people without frustration. So, what you model is the first area, the first powerful way of influencing people's lives. Now, let's get to the second one. The second one is to build relationships. Influence is by caring for people. People remember how you make them feel a lot longer than what you teach them, or even what you show them, how you make them feel. So, if you come with a understanding, caring heart towards a relationship, then it makes all the difference. Always, number one, seek to understand. There's a whole myriad of things that you can do about building good relationships or developing relationships with people. Relationships is what can bring influence. So don't just touch people's lives and walk away. Don't just treat people like they're nobodies. Don't judge and criticize people without accepting where they are right now. Be understanding of their paradigm, their perspective, how they see things, what they stand for, what they believe. Start there and build a relationship with them. Don't just go out and try and sell people. Build a relationship with them, and then you can influence them and tell them how great you are. Because if people like you, they'll learn to trust you. And if they trust you, they'll buy from you. So as a leader in business, that's the number one principle. But it doesn't matter. With your children, build a good relationship with them, because when they go through hard times, you can influence them the right way. You cannot control people, even your children. It's easy when they're young. You can control them when they're young, but when they get older, you can't control anymore. And that's where the frustration of many parents come in, is because they can't control their children. I went through that with my baby boy, who's now turning 19, not so baby anymore. I just had a time when I was getting so frustrated because I couldn't control it anymore. I couldn't control the outcome. I couldn't control his behavior, his response, his reaction. I couldn't control it. But the problem wasn't him, it was me, and I had to look at me. Was I understanding of where he was? And as soon as I did, I could begin to influence him the right way. Great guy now, great guy. Always been a great guy. Was me. I just didn't do it right. All right, so that's how you make others feel, by developing a good relationship with them. Number 3 is by instructing, by teaching. But let me tell you this, don't try and teach somebody that's drowning. They don't need teaching on how to swim. They need a lifeline to save them. So, choose the times that you teach and instruct. And we're not just talking about standing behind a pulpit or standing in a classroom kind of thing. We're not talking about that teaching. We're talking about, thanks for the like, we're talking about teaching in life situations. Sometimes my wife Michelle used to say to me, you need to teach the boys more about the Bible. But I said to her, I said, you know what, it was more important to me to teach them in life settings, life principles, and weave the word into lifetimes that they were experiencing, and show them and point out things and teach them the principles and the truths of God's word into that situation. That was important, because it's what you tell them, it's what you teach. It's what you teach those that you're mentoring, those that you're influencing. That's why education marketing is so important in your selling, is educate your customers and your clients in what you do. Give them value. Teach them what you do. Instruct them in what you do. But build that relationship slowly with them. Let me say this. Always do it with the right heart. The right heart attitude. Prepare before you go into a situation, so that you're teaching from the right heart. Not from this superior attitude. Not from this inferior attitude. Not from this... like, you better buy from me, kill that kind of stuff. Is educate people, and then they will begin to trust you more. So think before you react, before you lash out at your children or your wife, or, hey Keith, before you lash out at your family members, think about what you're going to do. Think before you react to a situation, and teach rather, instruct, guide them. And then I'm not talking lecturing, I'm not talking preaching, I'm talking guiding. I'm talking facilitating a learning environment for them. That's very important. So, and me, I've got to watch that, because, hey, I love teaching and lecturing, and I love instructing, and I love preaching and stuff. So I've got to be careful, because I can get there easily. But what I've learned to do is control myself and rather guide the conversation so that the person that I'm working with can rather learn as we go, rather than me teach. I hope that makes sense to you. So also, don't be controlled. This is a good one. Don't be controlled by your own emotional moods. And then you do something that affects and injures your relationship and your influence before you even start. Don't get all moving on your emotional situation. Rather focus on responding properly. Don't worry about the debate. Keep questions open. The one thing I've allowed my children to do is ask questions, give their opinion. From about 13 years old already, I said to Michelle, I said, listen, these boys now are coming into manhood, and let's allow them to have the sense of responsibility. that where if they do it right, they can give their view. I want to teach them to have the confidence to speak up, to assert themselves, to have an opinion, to have an insight. I might not agree with it, but that's my job to influence, not to control it. And the more I allow them and listen with understanding and give an understanding response to them, the more they mature in their approach to how they see things and how they approach things and what their opinion is and their perspective. So it's very important for their emotional maturity, but you've got to have emotional maturity to allow it. And so even if you're working with your clients and don't get into a debate. Allow it to be a teaching moment where you can influence them. So 3 powerful ways to influence. You model it by example, so let them see. You build good relationships and you let them feel. And you bring instruction at the right time, and that's what others hear. All right, so those 3 things are very important because we all want to influence, whether we're in business or, in our professional life or whether it's in our personal life. We want to get more business, get more clients. We want to keep customers. We want to build and maintain good friendships. And we want to improve our marriage relationships and our family relationships. And influence is the way to do it. To stand up and say, or manipulate or shout and scream, "Hey, Lindy, welcome."